Alright, welcome in foodies to another video. Today we are going to be talking about hilariously useless perks. This one is extremely fun because this is lighthearted. This is just kind of cutting up and laughing at some of the perks that you are technically allowed to run, but I can't see any reason why you would run them. And with that in mind, I want to clarify, there are some bad perks that are not useless per se, right? So there are plenty of perks that you would look at and you would say, wow, what an underpowered perk. But at the end of the day, it technically could have a use. So you think of something like No Mither, right? People might say, oh, No Mither is terrible, but the thing is, No Mither is designed to be a harder experience, right? So with No Mither, not only do you stay permanently broken, but because most every killer is going to know that you can pick yourself up off of the ground, most of them are going to instantly hook you. They will not slug you. So I think that No Mither gets a pass, as would perks like, say, Corrective Action from Jonah, which is a very bad perk, no doubt about that, but it technically has its uses. Are they good? Not really, but they could be a lot worse, like the 5 perks we're talking about today. And oh boy, are these rough. These are some really, really bad perks. So without teasing you any further, let's get right into it. First off, we have Monstrous Shrine. This is a killer perk, and it's universal. It is a non-teachable, which means that from the very second you start leveling up any of your killers, you could be unlocking this bad boy yourself. That's right, this perk is for everyone. Unfortunately, no one uses it. So what does it do? We're going to read the description of every perk before I tear them to shreds, right? So, your fervent care of the hooks found in the basement has aroused the entity's interest. Ooh. The basement hooks possess the following benefits. Accelerated sacrifice progression by 9%. Increases self-unhook difficulty by 15%. Increases self-unhook penalty by 9%. And yeah, so that is not great. So let's go on and clarify what those numbers mean, just in case you're not, in the know, right? So usually when you try to unhook yourself, you have a 4% chance to do it. If you're a survivor and you get hooked, you have a 4% chance to unhook. And that's not great. That's out of 100. That's how percentages work. This one will deduct 15% from that 4%. Which, admittedly, I don't really understand how that works. I'm not a math genius. I've been very open about the fact that I got an English degree when I was in college because math just hurts my head. But I would think that that can't be right, right? Like a negative 9% chance, like wouldn't a 0% chance mean you don't get out by any means? So like I don't know. I don't know how that works, but maybe it's taking 15% off of the 4%, so we're going into like really small numbers, so it ends up being something more like a 3% chance or something like that. I don't know. I've never been entirely sure about how that works, but it's definitely not good. Regardless, it's not going to make much of a difference. I mean, survivors still almost have no chance of getting off the hook, so that's not super brutal. Increases the self-unhook penalty by 9%. Again, it's fine, I guess. Like, if you can give them 2 attempts instead of 3, like, is that worth taking up a perk slot over? And this is a perk that I think the fix would be easy, because for each of these, I would like to offer some kind of fix. I would like to offer some kind of ability to make them a little bit better, because these are all going to be really, really terrible. So I think that the sacrifice progression is fine to stay at a 9% buff. That's fine. That's fine. You kill them 9% faster on the hook, so survivors can't dilly-dally as much. That's fine. And then the unhook penalty by 9%. Yeah, I don't know. I would say, I think the ideal thing with that would be to make it where they have a 0% chance of unhooking. And I actually think that you would get some value out of this if you could make it sneaky, and you could make it to where they don't know that Monstrous Shrine is in play, so they can try to unhook all the same. And unless they're just really eagle-eyed and they notice, hey, my hook is accelerating more quickly than normal. I think that'd be fun. That way they put themselves into the second stage without even realizing what they're doing. Other than that, I would say that maybe Monstrous Shrine should just be spread to every hook on the map. Again, is that too strong? I don't think that's too strong, right? If Monstrous Shrine could just... It either needs to be kind of nutty in the basement, or I think it needs to be spread to at least more hooks. Maybe make it a situation where it's the basement and 3 hooks, you know, a la Scourge hooks, right? Maybe make this into a Scourge hook, and then it would have a little more use, right? Like, I'm just trying here. I'm trying to think of some way, because right now, the way that Monstrous Shrine goes, you know, we've seen it before, where I think it was Ante who did the video, where he did everything he could to get value out of Monstrous Shrine, and it just wasn't happening. You actually had a survivor jump off the hook on their own while Monstrous Shrine was in place, which to me, the entire purpose of Monstrous Shrine should probably be, if I hook you, you're not going anywhere. Now, which is not to say, you know, if I hook you, you're automatically dead. It's just, yeah, a teammate needs to come get you. You would think that that'd be nice. I don't know. Wow, what a bad perk though. What a terrible perk. It's bad in every way. Also bad in every way is our next perk, Up the Ante. This is a teachable from Ace Visconti. You get this once you get Ace to level 35, and oh gosh, wow, what a bad perk. What a terrible perk. So, all will be well in the end. You just know it. Your confidence strengthens the feelings of hope for those around you. For each survivor still in the trial, Up the Ante gains 1 token. Each token applies a stackable 3% bonus to luck of all survivors, up to a maximum of 9%. So, this one is pretty obvious why it's terrible, because it's based on luck, which is the worst status in the game, or worst modifier in the game. So if you don't know this, luck literally affects one area of the game and nothing else, because some people in the past have mistakenly believed that luck influences like what you get out of chests and things like that. It doesn't. It is strictly related to whether or not you can Kobe off the hook. That is all that luck is responsible for, which should go in and tell you why this is kind of terrible. So you're, again, as mentioned with Monstrous Shrine, and that's why I put these two back to back, because they both essentially deal with luck. You have a 4% chance at base, right? So let's say let's say you do the Up the Ante and you add 9% to that, right? Okay, congrats. You're now at what, 13%? That's not good. Those are not good odds. And you know, even if you bring the Salty Jar of Lips, I mean, you're still really not looking at, oh, it's basically a guarantee. Essentially, to try to get any use out of this perk, what you really need to do is you need to bring the Salty Jar of Lips, you need to bring Up the Ante, obviously that would be a part of it, and then you also need to bring Slippery Meat so that you can have extra attempts. And if a perk requires another perk and a very specific offering to have any kind of use whatsoever, and by the way, even with all of that, you're still not likely to get off the hook. It's so bad. It's so bad, and I realize why they're hesitant to buff this one, because, you know, killers, look, it's already tough. So if you have survivors where they can get it and they have like a 25% chance of getting off the hook, well, that'd just be ridiculous, and honestly, it'd probably just break the game forever and ever. So they can't do that. I realize that, but oh gosh, 9%, like, ooh. I would say maybe the way to do this, if we're going to rework it, is make it so that luck does affect, you know, for example, what you get out of chests, and that way the hook aspect of it, the Kobe aspect, is a nice side benefit, but it doesn't compare to the main thing, which would be getting yourself a really nice item, or, you know, I don't know, I was trying to think of what other things luck might be able to do. And it's really tough, but I think luck just needs an overhaul. They touched hemorrhage in this most recent PTB, so I would like to see the next one focus on maybe making luck a little more impactful because as it stands, luck is largely inconsequential, and it's more likely to get you killed than anything else. One thing that's not likely to get you killed is Beast of Prey, our next perk. And this is a Huntress perk. This comes in at level 30. You will get that in the Blood Web. And, ooh, gosh. Okay, so we'll do the description, and then we'll get right back to roasting these perks. So, your lust for a kill is so intense that your connection to the entity is momentarily lost, making you totally unpredictable. Ooh, sounds intimidating, right? What crazy kind of power could this be talking about? Upon gaining Bloodlust, Beast of Prey activates, which grants undetectable for as long as Bloodlust is active. Oh. Oh. That's what it does. So, essentially, you become Ghostface, but only if you've activated Bloodlust. Great. Great. What a neat perk. What a great perk. That's good. Yeah. Sarcasm aside, wow. This one is rough. This one is very, very rough. Even though it is interesting that in some ways it is the proto Ghostface, the before Ghostface, right? So this ability to drop your terror radius in your red stain mid chase, you know, it led to a pretty cool killer in Ghostface, but as a perk, look, it's not easy to get Bloodlust. Bloodlust. I'm on the wiki right now to make sure that I get things right. So it takes 15 seconds of chasing to get Bloodlust tier 1, 45 seconds to get tier 3. That is not super reliable. That is, while by no means is that like some Herculean task that we just can't possibly expect, it's also not useful, right? And this is one where I really struggle because normally you would say, okay, well, what's the fix? Make it where you can just activate it at any time, right? But that's Ghostface's power. You can't just give out Ghostface's power. So I would say maybe, I still don't think it would be very good for what it's worth, but we're just trying to make these slightly better. So if I were going to buff Beast of Prey, I would say maybe make it where it cuts down on the time required to get Bloodlust. And I realize that that's pretty strong. I'd said I don't think this makes it too strong, but actually I'd forgotten about the speed aspect of Bloodlust. Right, let me go back to the Bloodlust page here. You get a 0.2% speed bonus at tier 1, which is pretty good. So that may be too strong. I don't know. Again, I always want to be careful. I don't want to like just throw out buffs that then if they were implemented in the game, I would also make a video complaining about how strong they are, right? I don't know. So if normally it takes 15 seconds to get Bloodlust, maybe make it take 10 seconds. Is that maybe even, I don't know, maybe make it take 12 seconds. Like again, it's still, that wouldn't make it a strong perk, but just a little more useful, right? Or hypothetically, there is one other aspect to Beast of Prey that I didn't mention, and that's that it grants 50% bonus blood points for actions in the Hunter category. So maybe just buff that up to 100%. Like guys, I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here. This is such a poorly designed perk that everything I recommend just seems like, I don't know, man. It's a bad perk. It's a bad perk, and if you're running it, please let me know in the comments. Like, if you've gotten value out of this perk, please let me know, because I'd be very interested to hear about that. Same goes for our next one, which will probably be the most controversial entry on this list, because it kind of defies the purpose of me saying that, you know, these are all the ones that really don't have a use. This one has a use, but I think you'll agree with it being on here. Premonition. So, you have the undeniable capability to sense danger. Receive an auditory warning when looking in the killer's direction within a 45-degree cone within 36 meters. Premonition has a cooldown of 30 seconds each time it activates. So, the obvious criticism of Premonition, why in the heck are you just not using Spine Chill? Why would you not use Spine Chill? If you're trying to figure out if the killer is near, why would you not use the perk that not only does not have a cooldown, but also offers you a speed boost? which can be used in chase or finishing a gen just before the killer gets there. Why? Why would you use Premonition? This perk, it's not even like, oh, this is a poor man's spine chill. This is in a whole different league. This is so far down. It's just, you know, like, I understand that there are perks that do similar things, but sometimes there's debate as to which one's actually better. So you think of something like Small Game versus Counterforce, both of which, by the way, are inferior to Detective's Hunch. Just putting that one out there. But, you know, you could make a case for Small Game or Counterforce. They're both about finding and destroying totems. I get that. But in this case, what Premonition does is essentially a weaker version of what Spine Chill does in every way, plus a cooldown, minus the speed bonus. What a terrible perk. And I guess I never realized how bad Premonition was until a recent tome had me use it. And as I was using it, I was like, wow, this is useless. This is terrible. I'm getting no benefit out of this. And that's when I had to go back after that game. I was like, okay, let's read the description. Let me make sure I understand how this perk works. And once I read the description, it was just a killer, right? It stunned me, right? that it was so bad. This is the one that maybe the most people will defend in the comments, and they'll say, oh, I don't like Spine Chill for this reason, or maybe it's like, hey, I think Spine Chill's too strong, so I try not to run super strong perks. And you know, it's still maybe run like Alert or Dark Sense, you know, like there's got to be some other perk than Premonition. Premonition is so bad. How do you fix it? Hell if I know. I'm gonna throw my hands up on this one. Gosh, I don't even begin to know. I do not even begin to know how you fix this one. This is the only one that I think I'm just going to say I really don't know. So I've already asked you. You know, I've already done the YouTuber thing of, hey, engage with this video, comment. But sincerely, guys, if you know how you would rework Premonition, please let me know. Because I'm drawing a blank on this one. I thought about it, and I just can't come up with anything here. Next up, we have Soul Survivor. Soul Survivor is a Laurie Strode perk. It is unlocked at level 30, and this one is a bit of a doozy. There's going to be a lot of reading, so here we go. As more of your friends fall to the killer, you become shrouded in isolation, and the killer's aura reading abilities towards you are disrupted. Each time a survivor other than yourself is killed or sacrificed, Soul Survivor gains 1 token, up to a maximum of 3 tokens, because you have 3 teammates. Each token grants a stackable radius of 24 meters within which the killer is unable to read your aura, up to a maximum of 72 meters. Increases the odds of becoming the killer's obsession by 100%. The killer can only be obsessed with 1 survivor at a time. Quote, "It was the boogeyman," said Laurie Strode. What a terrible perk. Okay, so this one is all about denying the killer their ability to read your aura. So essentially, the purpose of this one, if you really want to boil it down, is if they hook your final teammate and kill them, if they have barbecue and chili, and you're in range where barbecue would usually proc, and you haven't hidden in a locker, or you don't have a perk that would also block it, then in that situation, your aura will be blocked and the killer will not know where you are, and you can try to be the first one to find the hatch. Wow. Wow. What an S tier perk. I mean, how have killers not quit in droves? What a crazy thing to deny them that 1 aura reading ability. Now, I want to be fair. There are other situations in which you could hypothetically get value out of this. Let's say, for example, you're facing the very killer that Laurie was added with, Michael Myers, the Shape. And he's got Scratch Mirror. And he's trying to look at you through the walls. Or let's say it's a pig and she's trying to use her wall hacks. Or, you know, let's say, I guess maybe Rancor? Rancor would be probably the only time you'd be extremely glad you had this. I think that's probably the only time you'd be glad you had this. Rancor is about the only situation in which I can say, yep, you know what, I'd be glad to have this. So, essentially, you're talking about a situation where if the killer is running an extremely niche killer perk, and you are running an extremely niche survivor perk, and all of your teammates die before you, then you will be glad you have this one. This one is so ridiculously specific that I just have to laugh at it. So it kind of takes me back to when they did what was it, Second Wind with Steve, and it was just such a complex perk that nobody knew how to use it. You just had to read this entire book to learn how to use it, and so nobody used it. Now it got reworked, it's better now, good. But this one, in terms of reworking it, I mean, you have to try to keep the spirit of something up when something like this happens. So the whole thought of this is that you're the sole survivor, you block the aura reading ability, and so that's what I've been trying to figure out is, like, you know, my first thought is, more tokens, but what does that really do, right? Just it's still not great. I mean, I guess hypothetically, maybe if every dead survivor got you like 2 tokens instead, I don't know, dude. Maybe, gosh, what do you do with this? Okay, so these last 2, Premonition and Soul Survivor, have me stumped. How do you fix these terrible perks? These awful, awful perks. I mean, as bad as it gets. These are bad. And in fact, all 5 of these were bad. Now, some of them, like Monstrous Shrine and Up the Ante, and even Beasts of Prey, it was a little easy to take where they are and figure out, you know, okay, well, here's where we could take them to make them a little more viable. But Premonition and Soul Survivor have me stumped. So I'm going to hand it over to you because this is the end of the video. Please let me know if you have a fix for Premonition or Soul Survivor, or if there's a perk that you were just shocked was not on here, that you're like, hey, foodie dude, this is a pretty bad perk. Why is this not on here? And if I see those comments, I will try to justify why I didn't put them on there. And I did have a lot that I cut out. So originally, I narrowed it down to a list of 12 really bad perks, and then I just kind of reasoned away until we got to 5. So there were definitely a lot of perks that could have been on here, because there are plenty of bad perks. You know, not every perk gets to be, you know, Noed, Dead Hard, even like Save the Best for Last, which is a good perk. Not every perk even gets to be something kind of situational, but good, like Call of Brine. So, I don't know. Maybe at some point we'll talk about the best perks. Maybe we'll talk about 5 more terrible perks. But today was just a laid-back video where I was going to laugh about some really, really bad perks. And I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, though, I've been Das Food. Bye, friends.